Now, one of the least surprising things I can say is that I'm a big fan of The Boys. Now, I love Marvel, and I love what The Boys has done, kind of going against the grain of a superhero show, and a little bit poking fun at superhero shows and movies and what they represent nowadays. I also like the fact that it's really not afraid to take that extra step in violence and sexuality and just straight up gross and horrifying sometimes.
Robin? Robin?
But sometimes it goes beyond that to the point of doing it for the sake of a reaction. What may be surprising is that I think Gen V, the new show that I'm talking about today, surpasses The Boys for me. I watched this and I went into it very trepidatious and very nervous that The Boys was going down the same road as Marvel, doing a spin-off for the sake of a spin-off, and that this would crash and burn because it was just some cash grab. And yeah, it's Hollywood. It kind of is a cash grab. But I actually liked this somehow a lot more than I liked The Boys, and that is saying a whole bunch. Now in the beginning here, I'm going to try and give a small synopsis of the plot, but I'm not going to spoil anything. Gen V starts out following the character of Marie Moreau, a orphan who accidentally murdered her parents with her powers, and that's not a spoiler, we know that immediately. Gets sent to an orphanage that we actually had hints at in The Boys, and one day gets accepted into Godolphin University, a university that trains these kids and brings them up in this world to one day either be superheroes or entertainers. Basically, you know, these soups kind of rule the world. This just points them in the direction and shows you how powerful they are. It is a very deeply competitive school with a ranking system, and everybody wants to be in the top 10 of these heroes. But very quickly after attending the school, she gets caught up in a mystery and in a conspiracy surrounding the most powerful and popular kids at the school, with something to do with the forest that seems to be an experimentation facility on soups. But what's also very interesting about this show is that it follows this generation of kids, teenagers, young adults that are being brought up in this world knowing that they have these superpowers artificially, and it is not something that was just a natural thing that happened, and how that affects their mental state and how they handle that growing up and having this massive weight on their shoulders. Some of them even being a second generation superhero and that drive to be as good as their parents. But every single one of them has trauma brought onto them just out of the main group that we see in this, the main characters that I will get to. Two of them are responsible for the death of a loved one.
We were camping. I was 9. My parents were setting up the tent. My little brother kept kicking at my shins. So I grabbed him by the arm and I told him to go away and never come back. So he did. He just walked right into the woods. That was the first time my power showed up. I didn't know.
But the main driving point of this show is this deep conspiracy that unfolds in the very first episode, and us finding out with these characters exactly what is going on. And yes, we know that this world is evil and bad, and these characters don't. And that is part of what I love about this show, is that we have watched The Boys. We know that everything surrounding soups and Vought Industries is corrupt and evil as shit. But these characters, a lot of them, especially Marie Moreau, the main character, goes at this thinking that this is a just world and that soups are actual good guys and that she needs to strive to be the best so that she can be the first black woman on the 7. And you watch as all of this unravels in front of them and they realize that this world is truly corrupt and that this organization and superheroes do not actually exist. This show honestly could have been a lot like Riverdale. Going into this, I kind of had like a Riverdale feel, you know, teens, young adults, up in all this drama, murders, conspiracy, a mystery unfolding. The first season of Riverdale, I have gone on record to say, was fucking phenomenal. One of the best seasons of television ever watched. And it's not a bad thing that this first season of Gen V kind of feels like the first season of Riverdale, because that was a fun season. But that is a CW show. Even that first season, the writing was laughable at times, awful at other times. This is amazing and jaw-dropping from start to finish. From this point forward, I will be giving lots of spoilers. I'll be spoiling the entire show. I will be talking about all the characters and all of their arcs. So if you haven't seen it, click away now. If you have, fantastic. Let's keep hanging out. Now, the mystery that unfolded is the fact that the woods underneath of Godolphin University is the actual purpose of Godolphin University. Vought Industries is financing a experimentation program on these young kids, on these teenagers, to figure out how to control soups and how to kill them. And it goes on to a point that they are torturing these kids underneath there to find out their weaknesses and how to spread a virus around the world that kills them airborne. And the main group of kids that we have around this, that this show revolves around, is obviously Marie Moreau. But then we also have Luke, otherwise known as Golden Boy. He's really only in the first episode. He dies because he's starting to have these breakdowns and flashbacks about the forest and the fact that he knows something is happening with his younger brother, Sam, who is also part of this, but I will get to that more. Then we have Emma, played by Lizzie Broadway. Phenomenal. I think there's a lot of points to this where she carries the show. She is one of my favorite characters.
Got it. Get it. Got it. Good.
Right next to my favorite character, Jordan Lee, who is bi-gender in their powers and can change from male to female. Jordan Lee is played by both London Thor and Derek Liu. Personally, I think that London portrays this character better. There's just more of a depth and an understanding, I think, of the character. But they really are both great. I imagine they worked very closely together in order to make this character feel the same from actor to actor. Then we have Kate, my least favorite character, Andre, and Sam. Sam is Luke Golden Boy's brother. He is a big driving force of the mystery and the plot because in the beginning, Luke believes that his brother is dead and has been dead for a long time because, as we find out in this, Kate, who was kind of ostracized from her parents, was taken in by somebody high up in Vought Industries that becomes like the dean of this school and has been making Kate remove Luke's memory because they were experimenting on Luke and Sam together to make Luke more powerful and to figure out how to get this disease or this poison, whatever you want to call it, out to other soups. But Kate had to erase Luke's memories, but bits started to come back to him about his brother Sam and about the Force until it drove him to madness and he killed like the principal or dean, whatever you want to call it, of this school. And his murder-suicide is what kicks off this entire mystery for the show. One thing that I do really like that is not expressly said, but if you're paying any kind of attention, you will get, is that almost every single one of the powers that these kids have is kind of linked to a underlying issue that they have or a mental illness that people struggle with. Like Marie Moreau, she controls blood, and she is constantly told that she will not be able to be front and center with the Seven. She is not a likable hero because she kind of has blood bending. In order to get her powers, she has to cut a slice in her hand to projectile her blood out of her, and that kind of represents like self-harm. Then we have Emma, Lizzie Broadway's character, who shrinks down. Her superhero name is Little Cricket. She's more of an entertainer on YouTube though. And she struggles with the fact that she wants to be an actual hero, but she doesn't think that her powers can allow her to be that. And that is kind of perpetuated by her mother. And in order to become small, she has to make herself throw up. So her powers are kind of linked to an eating disorder. I love her arc, though, in this, where she becomes kind of a hero and she gets big by consuming things. Then we have Jordan Lee, who is obviously like transgender, which is not... I'm not saying it's a negative thing at all. I completely support trans rights, but it is a struggle that people go through and an identity issue. So that is linked with her ability to change her powers between gender and gender. Kate has the ability to mind control people and manipulate them. What's very interesting about her is that in order to have people trust her, she wears gloves because much like Rogue in the X-Men, she has to touch them with her skin.
I can touch you.
Andre is kind of like a telekinetic. He's actually like a legacy hero. He has the same exact powers as his father, but overuse of the powers gives you strokes and other difficulties later on in life. And then Sam just kind of has super strength And Luke has the ability to like fly and also super strength and the ability to turn himself on fire like the Human Torch. He is kind of projected to go onto the 7 before he does a whole murder-suicide thing. I do also quite like the relationship pair-ups in this. Some are better than others. The most prevalent one is between Emma and Sam. And this one is kind of problematic because Sam is like obsessed with Emma because she saved him. And he has also been locked in a room, a prisoner, for God knows how long. So it's a very codependent relationship. And he's also kind of stunted mentally as a child. But him and Emma still have a physical relationship. So she's very much mothering him. And it's obvious that she is so taken with him just because of how much he looks up to her. And she has such a bad mental state about herself. So that one is pretty problematic, if I'm being honest. But it does make for a very interesting story. Kate and Andre and Golden Boy. Kate was Golden Boy Luke's girlfriend, but again, she manipulated him. But she was also cheating on him with Andre, Luke's best friend. So that's like a struggle that she has throughout this. And then we have Marie and Jordan, which Jordan always struggles with the fact that they accept themselves as both male and female. Their parents, especially their father, only want them to be male because that is what they were born as.
I'm no bigot. I get a lot of kids don't have a choice, but you do. You can be a boy forever if you want. Sometimes I think you change into a girl just to spite me.
But Jordan also kind of struggles with the fact that they have expectations of what people want around them. So they are having a intimate and kind of a budding relationship with Marie, but believe that Marie only wants them in their female form, and also only becomes a male when they are trying to prove a point and intimidate people. But I love their relationship and how Marie over time is kind of making them more confident in either one of their skins. Now, the ending of this show is, I will admit, pretty rushed feeling. Like, the last episode is the shortest out of all of them and kind of develops the entire mystery and the plot, and the climax comes out of nowhere. Kate ends up killing her kind of foster parent, the person that brought her up and made her feel loved, to prove her devotion to Soups and prove her devotion to her friends. But her friends kind of turn on her saying that, no, that's bad. And then Kate breaks out everybody in the woods and they all go on a killing spree in Godolphin University, killing all the humans around them. And Sam, who is struggling with this, asks Kate to remove his conscience so he can kill without feeling. So they go on a killing spree and eventually they are stopped by the main group of people, specifically Marie, who had found out that she has the same exact blood powers as the head popper from the boys. But now in this show we found out that the head popper also is a bloodbender. So Marie blows up Kate's arm using that power. And then Homelander shows up and is like, how fucking dare you kill your own kind? Which, by the way, huge fucking hypocrite. But can we expect anything else from Homelander? He is probably the best villain ever put to screen. You can write that down as a true-ass statement from me. But that is how it ends. The main group is all locked up, and the carnage and the slaughter of Godolphin is pinned on them, and it highlights Kate and Sam as the heroes that saved everybody, even though they were part of the murder spree, because of course it does. Vought Industries is trying to cover their ass, and they manipulate the world. Now, that's everything. It's really good. I am on the edge of my seat the entire time. I watched the whole show in one sitting, and I got a full-time job and 2 kids and a wife. I got a whole ass family. I almost never get to sit down and watch a show in one go, but I could not get myself away from the screen, so I was just tired the next day at work. And it shows the confidence that the creators of The Boys, that Amazon has in this show, because the implications of this show on The Boys are extreme. You almost have to watch this show in order to understand the next season of The Boys. But those are my opinions on this. I'd love to know what you guys think. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other videos.